Looking forward to speaking on the panel today with these esteemed panelists. We'll introduce ourselves and then we'll get right into it. By way of introduction, Jim Lester, as was mentioned, CEO of BitPay. Prior to joining BitPay, most of my career has been in the legacy payments and fintech business, so happy to be over on the edge of innovation now with BitPay, which was started pretty early on back in 2011, so we're coming up on 12 years into it. And fundamentally, what our mission is around that we believe in a better form of money for us as consumers, retailers, businesses, et cetera, and we are embracing that and facilitating consumers to use crypto as forms of payment, merchants and other businesses to accept it, either at the point of purchase and or through disbursements, et cetera. So I want to have a moment for everyone else. Shirley, to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jim. Hi, I'm Shirley. I'm the Chief Information Officer at PacSun. I think most of you know that Pacific Sunware as a retailer, and we are one of the early adopters in retail that accepted cryptocurrency and had our journey in the metaverse. PacSun was founded in the 1980s. We have 300 stores in the United States. We also have e-commerce. The revenue is a little less than $1 billion a year. E-com is about 1/3 of the business, and e-com significantly grow in the last 2 years, pretty much doubled. Our customers are mainly Gen Z customers, so you heard John mention the Gen Z a couple of times today, so that's our drive of getting into this journey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Rabin. I'm the general counsel of a company called Built Rewards. I'll tell you what we do, but first, if you could kindly ignore the fact that this photograph of me is over 10 years old, that would be fantastic. So Built Rewards is a loyalty platform that makes rent more rewarding. We work with tenants on the one hand and landlords and property managers on the other to allow people to get reward points corresponding to the money that they spend each month on what is for many people their largest fixed cost, their residential rent. And for various reasons, which we may get into over the course of this panel, it's considered, we think, a very attractive thing for a subset of the tenants that work with us to have the capacity to potentially pay their rent using crypto, something that a few institutional landlords offer, but only a few to date. So it's something that we are working toward in conjunction with BitPay. And so it's a great honor to be here with everybody.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm Matt Melbourne. I head up token offerings at Republic. I'm actually a very happy Built user. Highly recommend it. But I joined Republic almost 5 years ago now. We're an investment platform for everybody to invest with as little as $100, as much as $1 million in all kinds of alternative assets like startup equity, real estate, film, art, et cetera. We also do tokenized offerings, so utility or protocol tokens, as well as other security tokens where the underlying asset is the equity or the upside in the film or whatever that asset is. And we've used BitPay for more than a year now to facilitate payments for those investments.
Thank you, guys. So we wanted to talk today about the transformation as businesses move towards providing the ability to accept payments crypto payments as an alternative form of payment, and really cover off on 4 things. 1, the journey that you've had, any real life use cases, any surprises or hurdles you've had in that journey, and then last but not least for the audience, what does a roadmap perhaps look like as they're entertaining getting into this? So Shirley, how has your journey been as you've moved down to accepting cryptocurrency for payments?
The journey has been challenging and fun. I think for PacSun, maybe you wonder why retail, get into this. I think as a brand, especially as a brand of Gen Zs, and we hear our customers are looking for us. They are seeking this. And then this is not about revenue. And you ask me, how much you get for that. And about the surprises, I was surprised that there are people buying clothes by using paying by digital currency, by cryptos. I was very surprised. And the penetration is not as big as all the other payment type, but as a brand, this is an attitude. This is our presence in the metaverse. So as the talk about the journey last year, I personally tried many different ways and found BitPay. That's the one that best fit us. So we launched quickly. So as the first step in the metaverse, we started accepting crypto on our e-com platform. Then later on, we launched the branded NFTs. You can Google, you can find it's called Paxson Mall Rats. So we did have customers, started to own those branded NFTs. And we also launched the metaverse games through Roblox, right? Roblox. Yeah, so I try to play the game, and it is fun, but it's a different world. It's a new dimension.
Thank you. Matt or Eric, anything to add there?
So when we started using BitPay as a way for folks to invest in different assets using crypto, one of the interesting things for us as we integrated was any kind of movement or payment online is difficult and highly regulated. And if you layer securities laws on top of that, it's an even more intricate web of regulation and different considerations that you need to have for the implementation of that. So one of the challenges was navigating that and making the user experience really top-notch to invest using cryptocurrencies. But we found that it really did pay off. Actually, counter to Shirley's point on penetration, for certain kinds of offerings, crypto beats out credit card, ACH, wire transfer for us for some of our investments. So a little bit of a challenge, but if you can create a good user experience using BitPay, it can be a real revenue driver. But that's largely because we're a fintech very heavily in the crypto space for the past 5 years, different than a retailer, but that's been our experience.
And I'm literally and figuratively right in the middle because Built Rewards hasn't yet launched this functionality yet. So, the big bright future is in front of us, but we have some, business rationales for getting into this space, and we're excited about the offering to tenants because, there are people that are holding crypto who would like to be able to do this, so we'll potentially onboard new customers who aren't yet aware of or interested in using Built, but would be, given this kind of plus factor. And we'll also be able to do things for them, like help them to sidestep some traditional bank transfer wire fees for people who use other payment platforms that involve a cap of how much you can transmit in any one act, which is below the amount they spend in rent, and they have to send money multiple times. This will help them to get around that. Various little benefits that we think will appeal to some tenants. So hopefully we find lots of volume of people using crypto.
That's great. We were going to talk about some use cases. I think it's pretty obvious that the use case is to enable the acceptance of a blockchain-based currency, right? So perhaps let's talk about the user experience. And Matt, you touched on it a little bit, and Shirley, you've been out there for a while doing this as well. But what is the user experience that you believe your customers are getting out of this or desiring, or why it's appealing from your perspective? Obviously, they may be holding it, but what other types of reasons would drive that great user experience?
Okay, I go first. So accepting crypto is the first step, and we launched an NFT, and then we started the games. So what's the next? As a merchant, we really want to grow the business through this this journey. And while right now everybody is worrying about recruit customers and retain your customers, right? So we're competing in the malls to try to get the stores in the A malls and close, the bad performance stores. And also you're expanding globally and international business. And then you have this marketplace you check out in Amazon, and we could check out our customers could follow in the Web2 world, follow our Instagram and click and check out there. And pretty soon they can check out from TikTok. Then what's the next? So this Web3 enables us to get to the next dimension. It's above this physical world that to help us brand the business and to further tighten the engagement with our customers in the virtual world and through the immersive gamification and to engage with also those early adopters, right? So we are, and then the customers are too, so that the build the ownership and the co-own the brand. And also, like the other speakers shared earlier, so that we can use it as a utility to unlock opportunities. Like John listed, a very comprehensive use case to unlock their loyalty, to give their early access to some, very, very hot brands, to let them buy early, have access, and also to give them, utilize the loyalty to have a different program, to have a different opportunity. So that's what we're looking for, and relying on you, John, to help us as a provider, to help us grow the business in that world.
Thank you. Eric?
I'll jump in just to say, my company's name the legal name is Built Technologies, Inc., and we're engaged in a world that's pretty analog. People are often, mailing checks in hard copy or even dropping them off in person, and bringing that into, this century and making it more rewarding and tech-enabled and slick and easy to pay your rent is one of our reasons for existence. And so from a brand architecture perspective, it does dovetail nicely with what we're trying to do more broadly, that we're going to, with BitPay, make it possible for people to pay with crypto. I think even for people who aren't ready to do that, who won't be doing it themselves, it's a sign and a marker that we're a forward-thinking company and that we're looking always for new ways to engage customers and make things easier and better for them. So no NFTs, but there's definitely something strategic, I think, about expanding in this direction.
For Republic, I think it's just ease of use for our investors. So a lot of these folks, they maybe amassed a large nest egg or wealth in crypto, and that's how they hold their wealth, or that's sort of their bank account. So the ability to just pay directly out of that is easy, and that's a good thing for them. The second thing is Republic is a really global company, like almost probably 20% of our investment volume, especially for some offerings, are outside the United States. So for a lot of global customers, crypto is the easiest payment method versus they can't use ACH unless they happen to have a US bank account, or wire transfers are expensive. And as a platform, like our median investment is like $250. So to pay a wire fee on that, it doesn't make sense. So crypto is just easy and cheap to use. For lots of different demographics.
So that's a good point. You talked about some of the fees associated with legacy payment structures. I wanted to delve into the mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies as a form of payment and acceptance, and get the panel's opinion on what some of the hurdles may be in us as an industry achieving that. So what are your thoughts on lowering the barriers to entry for consumers, not just whales, but everyday users of crypto, and what is it going to take at an industry level?
I think I spoke about this a little bit in the first question, but the way the regulations are moving, they're there to protect retail investors and consumers generally, but consequently, like those protections do create more onerous requirements to the average retail user participating using crypto. So the only way that we're going to get there is innovating with our product in a way that keeps the user experience top notch without running afoul of the ever increasing regulations. So the intent is good of the regulators, but in reality, the onus falls on us as vendors and platforms in the industry to accommodate those while providing a top-notch user experience.
And in the case of residential real estate, I mean, counterparty risk is pretty close to zero. The payors are living in the buildings of the payees. They know where they live. They're the reason that they live there. So it depends on the kind of company you're with, the kind of space you're in. But for a company like ours, I don't think we consider it to be actually that risky to add the possibility of paying with crypto to the existing possibilities of paying with U.S. dollars. Varies by use case, but for us, it's to me a bit of a no-brainer.
Eric, to push on your use case a little bit more, so in the rental space and the home occupancy space per se, paying is obviously very important. There are eviction challenges in the industry. The immediacy of payment, I would think, helps your industry as well to clarify good funds are available, where you can perhaps avoid some of these wait-and-see types things with traditional legacy-type payments. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it depends on how much of a crypto maximalist you are, I guess. If you think one day everyone in every building will be paying with crypto, then that feature will be really pronounced and important because it'll mean things settle day of, and there'll be proof of funds. And I'm just a lawyer. I'm a little bit, risk averse, and I think, in the short term, a little bit. Probably the earliest adopters of this in our customer base are going to be people with crypto wallets and enough money to be current on their rent anyway. So realistically, I don't know how much of an effect that'll have in the short term, but in the offing, certainly it's a feature of paying with crypto that's welcome and maybe will ultimately make a difference down the road.
Sure. I'll add a thought here because I've thought about this in the context of our business. So we are ultimately facilitating the acceptance of crypto by our customers, the merchants and/or businesses. But we're converting that to fiat dollars at the point of sale most of the time. So maybe 10% of our customers are going to have a wallet. They're going to sell in crypto. That indexes to digital native companies to a high degree. And so when I'm asked the question, it is somewhat of a chicken and egg on the one hand, right? You need more mass adoption by consumers that aren't just whales on the one hand. On the other hand, perhaps what we really need are the businesses to become comfortable and settle in cryptocurrency on their balance sheets. And Ash and Brandon were talking about this a little earlier, and I'm also a firm believer that the stable coins, USDC, and some of the other well-known ones will be a real linchpin in driving this when the larger business enterprises realize that, yes, it's safe to settle in this mechanism. And then once that money comes into the ecosystem in that stable currency format, then the disbursements will follow, right? Think about rewards being dispersed in USDC, for example, through your company at that retail level, right? And then it's in the ecosystem and they're using it over and over and over. And I think it would take a lot of friction out of the equation. So just my 2 cents on the adoption side. As you've gone through this journey, any hurdles or surprises, anything that pleasantly has popped up? Wow, you didn't know this is a great learning, or this was a lot harder than we thought, and how did you overcome that?
For my experience, I just want to clarify, as a retailer, when we started going, we want to get into this digital world and we want to accept the crypto. Our CFO said, no, I don't feel comfortable owning a digital wallet. I'm not going to deal with it. That's what he said to me. So you got to find the one that fits your business the best. That's how we started working with BitPay. So as PacSun does not own a digital wallet in terms of the cryptocurrency. We pass that risk to them, so they handle it. For me, everything is settled in US dollar. So now you go to PacSun.com, when you check out, there's credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay, and BitPay. That's accept the digital currency, crypto. And then if you choose to use BitPay, and then they deal with you. But it's transparent. Customers don't care, and they don't see who they are dealing with, but that takes them to the crypto world, and then they pay the digital currency, they scan the code, they pay it, and they send me a confirmation, go, this is paid, so I confirm, the order, and then we fulfill it. And by the time we either fulfill or we cancel the customer return, we refund the money as listed price. So I have zero risk to take, right? So I sell in the list price as USD, and if I return, refund, I refund at list price. So there's no risk to me. So it's all on them. So this is another decentralization. So the journey I have is fairly easy as a merchant. So for me, it's just enable another payment type. And I was chatting with one of the person here. After it took me about 4 weeks to enable this, a couple of API calls from the commerce side and from the fulfillment side, but that's it. I didn't have to deal with them. I didn't have to call Jim afterwards about any settlement, reconciliation, or customer complaints. It's just a very smooth journey in terms of this cryptocurrency acceptance.
I mean, we haven't launched yet, again, but plug for BitPay in terms of having a conversation, getting the C-suite educated, discussing contractual matters and onboarding matters. Really important to find a strategic partner to do these things if you are not in the business of doing them yourself. And so far, it's been great experience on the business-to-business front.
The Republic has a lot of parties. We're a marketplace, so we have Republic as the marketplace. We have the investor that's making the payments. We have the company or the project that's fundraising. And then we also have, on the back end, other providers like an escrow agent and a banking provider. One benefit of crypto is that it makes reconciling payments easier than with other methods. ACH and wires get lost. People put the wrong instructions in. ACHs take days and days to clear. Credit card transactions have chargebacks and other issues. One benefit of crypto is definitely the ability to reconcile payments more easily because it's all on chain. I think one challenge of that has been trying to fit crypto payments into the sort of network or the system and the fintech infrastructure that we've built. But BitPay has been a tremendous partner in that they have a great platform. They're sort of standard offering, but open to customization, especially if you have enough volume where it sort of makes sense to do that. But it's been great for reconciliations, a challenge in terms of fitting into traditional infrastructure from a legal and compliance and financial perspective, and BitPay has facilitated both of those things.
So let's talk a little bit about roadmap, and let's put ourselves in the shoes of our audience members here, right? Surely you're a C-level executive yourself, and you said, I have a great idea, I think this is innovative. The chief executive said, no way. Right? I'm sure many of you have had these similar types of conversations out there or are about to have them. So high level to low level. High level, starting there, how do you win C-suite buy-in to move down a path to accept crypto as a form of payments, or even just stick their toe in the water in the blockchain at one level? And then at a lower level, tell us about the roadmap process. Like, as you're scanning the environment, looking for partners, what are you looking for, and how are you decisioning on this?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is the C-suite make the decisions, right? Although when we started this journey, there were questions, there were doubts on, really, do we need to do that? We have a lot of bigger fish to fry. But again, I think it's really the leadership. I think as the technologist, the CIO, in addition to I'm responsible for the company's technical strategy, the implementations, the support, etc. Also, I have this mission to engage with the executives to continue educate them, to share the ideas, to not only to let them realize the advantage, the opportunities as well. It's also my job to mitigate the risks. If I didn't find BitPay, we could be a lot slower. I don't think our CFO currently feels comfortable either with owning, invest in the digital currency. However, find the tangible solution that, mitigate the risk, that make it more acceptable, more viable. That's the right way to take.
And Eric, you're new at this, right? So you've just gone through this journey. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I run legal and compliance for the company, so I was the one with the indigestion at first, to be honest. But a few things that help us to get our arms around this as a theme is there are other, we're not first movers here. There are landlords who have worked with BitPay and others to begin accepting crypto. Generally real estate landlords, property managers are, used to dealing in cash, so things settle in USD on their end. But the concept of implementing this as a, option is not brand new, although it's relatively new. And because you can see it working and there's a precedent, it makes it easier to, kind of sell it internally and to feel comfortable and confident that, especially with an experienced partner, you can roll something like this out, without issue. And I look forward to saying that has been the case in a few months from now.
I think it depends on the executive. If I'm talking to our CFO or our CEO, it's about revenue. If I'm talking to our CMO, if I need another person on board, it's about brand and our name in the ecosystem and what that brings for us. But I think the most powerful argument, to Shirley's point, is to the degree which we can pass off risk, we do like to do that. So, and we'll pay for that. And for us, that really means the companies that are raising with us, they pay that fee. But in that way, like, we're super happy to have them pay that fee so that BitPay can assume a lot of the risk associated with accepting crypto payments. So that's been super important.
Great, thank you. I think we're a little ahead of schedule. We've covered pretty much what we wanted to cover today. If you have any other comments that you would like to share at the audience, perhaps before we get to some questions.
We have lots of questions.
Let's go.
All right. So several of them you answered, but there are a couple that came in about the customer base. So one specifically for PacSun, but I think it's a really interesting question in general. For the NFT buyers, are buyers a new crypto native audience that PacSun hasn't reached before, or are they existing PacSun fans who are not crypto native?
I don't have that details.
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay.
I think they pretty much the both, right? They have to know the brand, and then our EFTs are the PacSun mall rats. So it looks fun, but I think they got to know the brand, and they also love the NFTs. They want to invest and they want to own it. Probably a lot of them are looking forward in the future to trade it, to sell it, right? To look for the increase of the price.
Yeah. And then another one tied to that, but generally I think you all might have some good insight. How widely used is crypto amongst the Gen Z generation? How big of an opportunity is this truly for the retail sector?
That's one of the questions I look forward to ask Jim as well. So for us, that I see that everybody is talking about the roller coaster journey in the digital world right now. So I do see that the decrease of the payment, the amount on a monthly basis. So, and as you know, when you initially launch it, there are marketing initiatives, and BayPay did offer us some marketing opportunities, and then there are other retailers are joining this journey. So I think we got to be more creative, like BayPay as the provider of this payment, that how you guys can help the retailers to grow the market, to grow the channel, to create a community that, you know, the payer, the buyer is not just buying PacSun, and they are also interested in Ralph Lauren, you know, some other brands. So how do we create a community and grow it?
So we have some data. You can go to bitpay.com. It's a payment study that we did with payments.com, and it's pretty interesting. And the data roughly is, 25% of the U.S. population at this point in time holds some form of cryptocurrency as an asset, and of that number, 75% intend to spend it, some of it, right? So they are not only seeing it as a store of value and an investment vehicle, but also as something that they can exchange for monetary value. And if you peel into that data a little bit more, you will see Gen Z, disproportionately, millennial Gen Z are holders versus the older generation. But we were surprised that it did skew up higher as well, age-wise.
Any insights down at the end on how big the opportunity really is?
For us, I think folks that are making investments that are inherently have a lot of risk, these are typically people with larger net worth. So Gen X is our largest demographic in terms of age group, and then baby boomers, then millennials, then Gen Z. So a lot of the brand efforts that we do are actually geared, they skew younger, and that's where we're going, because these folks are going to build wealth, they're going to inherit money from their parents and their grandparents. So even though if you looked at our crypto payments, I bet it actually that's different, and it probably skews a little bit younger than average. But I think, to Jim's point, a lot of it's Gen X is our sweet spot.
Awesome. Any last thoughts? We did have a poll up at the beginning where we asked how many of you in the room have actually purchased with crypto, and it's only 15%. So to really get confident with this, we have to start doing it ourselves and really build that. But then, how Shirley said, we need that C-suite buy-in. Any last thoughts before we head off to lunch?
I just want to share that, again, about this decentralization idea. In the Web 1 time, that, as the IT people, everything is pretty much homegrown. I used to write code. I used to create an application for the company to do this and that. But later on, you realize the other software providers, right? But now with this new digital world, also take the approach that's the professionals handle it. So as a merchant, my focus is that to grow our business, to create engagement, to get the customers, to improve the conversion, to make them buy, right? And then I found this, great program provider that can handle the crypto for us. And then we utilize Roblox. I'm not making commercials for them, but again, they do a great job, and then they know that world better, right? So then there's also another provider here that's gonna work with us to move on to the next step, to utilize the NFTs to further unlock the loyalty programs, to fulfill the digital assets and to manage it. I'm not going to manage it. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have a 200 people lab to research, but I don't know that much. I'm still learning now with you, but you got to let the other people handle that, and then so that you can focus on growing your own business. So it's not a question of if you should, it's only matters when you can.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you guys. Give the panel a round.
Thank you.
As we go off to lunch,